Before I start this video, I would just like to say that this content is going to be terrible, and if you actually want to watch something good, you should subscribe to Nagisa Shoto. Hi, it's nice to meet you, and if you don't know who I am, my name is Jay, and I'm extremely bored in quarantine. So I decided to take my hand at this trend of redesigning the New Warriors. If you don't know who the New Warriors are, they're characters from a Marvel comic that came out in 1989. These characters are teens, and they were supposed to relate to the younger generation of the 1990s. Now Marvel has decided to revamp these characters and make them mentors to New Warriors that are supposed to relate to this year's generation. Many people have taken issues with these characters, and not just teenagers, but adults as well, because I feel like anyone but the creators can see that this is not a good representation of what teenagers are like today, and therefore it's very hard for them to relate. I'm going to be a sophomore in high school, which is the age of these New Warriors. Because one of the biggest complaints is that the creators just didn't seem to know how teenagers are, I decided to take it upon myself as a teenager to try and represent ourselves a bit better. The character I'm going to be starting with today is B Negative. Something that Tom DeFalco, the creator of these New Warriors, had constantly said during the introduction video is that they're trying to push against labels. That being said, they also described this character as a typical goth kid. His backstory is that when he was very young, he got a life-saving blood transplant from Michael Morbius and got vampire-like powers because of it. His powers are very similar to Michael Morbius, and as far as what we got from the introduction video, there's not much else to say. In the background of this video, I have a speed bait going on of the redesign of his costume. What I did is I just made it a bit easier on the eyes. The New Warriors in general have a very bright aesthetic, but I decided just to tone the colors down a little more and make his design more appealing to what a goth kid would wear. In the end, I actually decided that I toned the colors down a bit too much, and I went back and gave more accents of red. His design in general is a bit cringy. The colors and the wings that come from his jacket just aren't something that a lot of teenagers would look at and be like, yes, this is definitely something I would wear if I were a superhero. The inspiration for this redesign came from Raven from Teen Titans, as well as more historical vampire descriptions from Dracula. But the majority of this redesign actually comes from his backstory. It's important to note that we don't know a lot about these characters because the introductions Marvel gave us were very short and very cliché. But just to add a little spice to his character, I decided to push back when he got the life-saving blood transplant a bit further. Originally, he got it when he was a baby, and now I'm going to say that he got it when he was entering middle school. B Negative has aplastic anemia in my version, or an illness similar to it. Aplastic anemia, I'm sorry, is where your body fails to make red blood cells. Symptoms include being very pale, so I kept that about his original design, as well as being weakened. His parents were very protective and he lived a very sheltered life, mostly in hospitals or at home. Blood transplants aren't usually a cure to aplastic anemia, but usually required during the treatment process. When he was in middle school, he just so happened to get a blood transplant from Michael Morbius. This gave him powers and seemed to have controlled his illness. He made a slow recovery and was able to go back to public school. Shortly after, when he discovered his powers, he became a vigilante. Unfortunately, he was going through an emo phase when he decided to create his name and costume. And by the time the New Warriors discovered him and decided to take him under their wing, he was already stuck with the name. He's not exactly goth anymore, however, he does like dark humor. I decided to make this change because I know at least me and some of my friends can relate to doing some cringy things in middle school that are reflected back on us now.
I'm looking at a lot of our amino accounts.
I will hopefully be redesigning the rest of the crew later, but for now, this is the end product. I'm going to show it here if I figure out how to edit. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. I'm not exactly sure how I should outro this, or if I should outro this. I'm sure this entire video is going to be... Also, my mic is extremely bad, so if any of the parts are just cut out, we'll say that this is an SCP file and some things are redacted. Anyway, that will be all. I hope this video was short enough for you to sit through all the way. Thank you.